and welcome to Unit 3, specifically Chapter 3 and 4. Now, Chapter 3 and 4 are specifically about queries. Now, a lot of individuals, the basic foundation of your database is, in fact, tables. However, a lot of individuals, for one reason or another, don't understand the power of queries where that's concerned. So what I've done is I've taken a look at the PowerPoint presentations, and I've actually drawn out some of the pictures involving queries, and I'm going to kind of talk through those things so you get a general feel for how they work, what the point is, and things along those lines. So the very first one is we are just going to basically select from a table certain columns to include. So in our particular case, what we're looking at right here is select customer number, customer name, and balance from customer. And all they're doing is the customer is the table on which this is based, and it selects the fields customer number, customer name, and balance. In this particular query, we don't have any, there's no criteria, there's nothing involved with this. So let's say, for instance, we have a table that has many different elements in it. I can actually choose different things that I want. So if someone asks for a report that says, hey, I want customer numbers, names, and the balance that they owe, boom, there it is. I could even do this without customer number if I wanted to and only include customer name and balance. And the idea is if you ask questions over and over again from information in order to make good decisions, this is where queries come from. Now they have another one here where it says select all from item, meaning I'm going to select all the elements from the table called item. Now, this is more of an example of how to do this. Why you would reproduce a table by using a query, I don't know, gives you an ability to do some formatting, I guess, but yeah, it's really not that important. Now in this particular one, what they've done is they have a criteria based on it, and the criteria is select customer name, right? Meaning I'm going to display the customer name from the customer database. So over here, we've got customer number, customer name, and balance from the customer database. Here, all we're doing is we're pulling up the customer name, but we're doing it where the customer number equals 126. Now, we don't pull up the customer number because we're making the assumption that, hey, we've already pulled the customer number that we want, and we only display the customer name from that customer database. Now let's take a look at some other items. So we have our comparison operators. This is equal to, less than, greater than, less than or equal to, greater than, equal to, or not equal to. This gives you the ability to numerically select criteria based off of those comparison operators. So select customer number, balance, and credit limit. So we're going to select those three elements, customer number, balance, and credit limit, from the customer where the balance is greater than the credit limit. So basically what's going to happen is it's going to access the customer table right there. It's out of the customer table, it's going to pull the customer name, the balance, and the credit limit. Only those points where where the balance is greater than the credit limit. There is only one particular field where the balance is greater than one particular record where the balance is greater than the credit limit. Now you have to understand, once I save this particular query, if I was going to make decisions on a regular basis based off this information, this might be included in a report packet, meaning that every single month, decision makers would get a packet of information based off these saved queries, and these queries would tell it answers to these questions. So in this particular case, where the balance of a particular customer is greater than a credit limit, maybe we need to do something like bill them extra, talk to them, give them a special call, whatever situation it is, but we're at least prepared for that. Here, now, this is where the and condition, this is where you start getting and or. Or means one condition of the two is true. And means both conditions must be true. So in this particular case, select description, right? So it's pulling up the description from the table called item. So from the table called item, where storehouse is equal to 3 and on hand is equal to greater than 25. Now it just brings up the description. Now, but I could add different things in, like if I wanted to have the on-hand value so I knew exactly they were dealing with. And if I wanted to make sure that storehouse was chosen so it would be able to be displayed. So in this particular case, all the items that are in the item table that fit the criteria storehouse 3, meaning they're stored in storehouse 3, and the on-hand is greater than 25, meaning there's greater than 25 units, it's displayed. So Mancala, cribbage set, and woodblock set, or 62 pieces, all of which fulfill that particular criteria. And this is my AND criteria, meaning both must be true. If this was an OR criteria, if the storehouse was 3 or greater than 25, it would have displayed. So let's kind of continue. So here's our OR condition. Notice storehouse 3 or greater than 25. So all of these items here, only both conditions are true in Mancala, cribbage set, and woodblock set. So if I look, there's Mancala, there's woodblock set, and here's my cribbage set. All these others, either of the conditions are true. In those three, both conditions are true, but since there's an OR condition, meaning that's in storehouse 3, or the on-hand's greater than 25, it will display. And that's how our OR condition works. Now we have a size limit. Select customer number, customer name, and balance from the customer table. So this pulls in the customer table, right? As long as the balance is between 2,000 and 5,000. Notice the balance is between 2,000 and 5,000. So it pulls from customer table where those three particular elements where this is true. Now if we come down here, select customer number, customer name, and credit limit minus balance. Mean it's going to take credit limit, subtract balance, and it's going to post that right here for those three elements. There's no other criteria here. It's not adding more information to it. It's just saying, hey, these three elements from the customer table. That's all that's doing. Now we can combine that and do a where statement. We can say where greater than 25 and equal to this. I mean, we can add more things to it, but this is a bare bones basic. I want you to pull these three fields, this field being a calculated field. Let's continue. Select customer number, customer name, credit limit minus balance as available credit. All right, so what is going on here, whereas before we have our credit limit minus balance and then it adds it right here. In this particular case, we're pulling credit limit minus balance and pulling it as available credit. It's the exact same criteria, it's the exact same query, but we're actually filling in the name of this column. Now let's continue down this way. So, select customer number, customer name, street, city, state, postal code, meaning we're pulling all those elements from the customer table as long as the word Columbus is in the street. Notice there's only one particular item that has Columbus in the street. If there are more than one item that actually has Columbus in the street, more than one item would display. Now notice, in this particular case, now we're pulling three elements from the customer table where credit limit is in these particular criteria. I could put more elements in there if I wanted to. So I could put 25,000, I could put 20,000. I could put all these different elements there. But what happens is it pulls these elements for when the credit limit is 5,000. So these two meet that criteria. 10,000, these two meet this criteria. Or 15,000, that meets that criteria. So let's continue. And I'm just kind of going through these to give you an idea. And remember, all of these queries can be saved so they can be reused. And if they had it in that decision-making report packet, this allows to mess with that. So select those three elements, and this is where we're specifically we're sorting the elements now. And this is where order by comes in. This is the keyword order by. Now you'll notice this pulls the same way. Customer number, customer name, credit limit. From customer, right? So I could do where street name like this and then order by after that if I wanted to. So I can actually combine these items to get different elements out of it. But for instance, in this case, order by, credit limit, and discrete, meaning it's not going to, or excuse me, meaning it's not going to pull, it's going to sort, I remember what, never mind. So anyway, it pulls credit limit, and it does it in descending order. That's what it is. There's another one that's called discrete, meaning that it actually doesn't pull based off of nulls. Sorry, that's where my confusion is. Descending order, and then customer name, meaning it's in descending order by credit limit in case where customer numbers are, our customer names are tied, it then sorts by that. So for instance, since the credit limit is tied 15,000 and 15,000, it then sorts it internally by customer name right here. In the case where this is 10,000, it then sorts internally here. In the case all these 7,500, it actually rows with the same credit limit are sorted by name. So it sorts all these by name. So this is your primary sort, which is your very first one, credit limit descending, and then it adds in customer name. So let's continue. Now, you'll notice I've got different aggregate functions, and we start to use aggregate functions, average, count, max, min, and sum. So in this particular case, if I look over here, it selects sum balance, average of balance, the max of balance, and the min of balance from customer, meaning it's going to pull all this information from the customer table where it's the sum balance, average balance, max balance, and min balance. So this gives me an aggregate function so I can actually get the results down here for the entire table. Now I could put a where clause in there so I can actually do, let's say for instance, if I wanted to do it for warehouse number 3 as an example if I wanted to. Or I can do where category GME. So select count, meaning I'm going to count how many, select count, star, meaning it's going to count all of them, from item, where category equals GME. So what it does is, it looks through that particular table, it finds the categories that match GME, and it counts the items from there. So it's pretty neat. So this is select customer number from order. So it has all the customer numbers where it exists here. So let's kind of continue down the line. There will be a section B as I go more of these, but I just wanted to continue. Now, this is nesting queries. Now, nesting queries means I'm going to have a query within a query. So select order number from order line where item number in, and then I actually have another query inside it. Select item number from item where category equals PZL. So in other words, if the category is PZL, and it's going to select the inside the item number, and it's going to do the item name. So subquery to find item numbers for items in category PZL. So it finds the item number in category PZL and then displays them based off this information. So here we go. Here's another nested query. Select customer number, customer name, and balance from the customer table where balance is greater than, and I select the average balance from customer. So it calculates the average balance, and then it actually displays them where the balance is greater than the average balance, which is kind of cool. So I'm able to take it, and I'm able to take the information and query it if the balance is greater than the average balance. So that might be individuals whose balance is greater than average, and I want to know more about them to make sure that I kind of target them to prevent them from continuing or keeping an eye on, hey, maybe I need to bill them more often, I need to keep a better eye on what's going on, things along those lines. So let's continue on. Select rep number and average balance. So here's rep number and average balance from customer, and it's grouping by rep number, and it's order by rep number. So what's happening is, in this particular case, it finds all the average balances, groups them by rep numbers, and then orders them this way, one row for each group. So for instance, if I looked at this and I didn't have that group by, what it might have done is there might have been 6 or 7 different rep number 15s. And what it does is it actually causes all the rep numbers 15s to loop together or group together and to sum them up so you get the by rep number in that particular chart breakdown. All right, well, this concludes our section A of the different queries. Please join us for section B.